Greeting everyone, I'm Flygon Templar. Today I'm gonna do something special. After thousands of hours of playtime in Elden Ring, and I also played Dark Souls 1 to 3, I'm giving you all the unique weapon and Ash of Earth tips thingy. Blade of Calling and Black Knight. Both weapons have similar Ash of Earth, but one is scaled with faith and the other is dexterity. The damage and range is quite high and is similar to the Sacred Blade, but I prefer the Black Knife just because the Destined Death debuff it has, or you can just go crazy by dual-wielding it. In the PvP, the movement is quite obvious, like it's cool to jump up high, but you are also telling everyone to prepare to dodge it. So, better aim it right before your projectiles release. Redo just like a blood blade, but you don't lose health. If you see any large enemy, just spam it, dragon, troll, etc. It will make this game like 10 times easier. The stamina usage is slightly higher than the blood blade, like the Ash of Earth variant, so it's easy to run out of stamina. And about the PvP, well, I must say it's kinda hard to hit someone with this, just spam it. Just spam it, okay. Ornamental straight sword. The heavy attack will change only by using the Ash of Earth to buff the sword, and I guess you can also doing this by one-handed it. I'm not sure how this works, but quite convenient, isn't it? This is a thrusting attack, so you can use the Spear Talisman, and also classify as a charge attack, so you can use the Axe Talisman. Also, use the Rotten Wing Insignia and Medicine Prosthesis, to power up your combo. But I need to say, the point of this weapon is kind of awful. Like almost any kind of attack will interrupt you immediately, so only use it if the enemy have a large of empty space. For the PvP, don't use this too often. The uncharged heavy attack come out very fast and also interrupt most of the attacks, so you can just use that more frequently. About the full charge attack, cancel aiming before you're using a thrusting attack, and you will just like an anteater trying to threaten the enemy. They will have no idea what's going on and re-aim it right before the attacks come out. Quick tip for you. Redraw of Elhoid. Yes, I speak the Elhoid. One of my favorite weapons so far. Unfortunately, can't swing it like the Bellberry Hunter. Well, otherwise it will be badass. Full shot attack will almost guarantee to knock back any enemy, but only the last spinning part will. Be careful about that. After the field update, you can cancel the last swinging part. I do it almost every time. The damage was pity and the recovery time was just way too slow. It will cost you by leaving you in a quite empty space, so just don't do it unless like the enemy only one hit left. If you get hit during the sword spinning part, the sword will jump off. It will be deadly because you're cancelling the last part of the full charge spinning attack, which means you are also cancelling the knockback, so do be careful or just hit it on its back. Benefit with the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and Medicine Prosthesis. I'm trying. The attack power will increase after every 3 attack, and this Ash of Earth will almost guarantee to get to the top tier of that. Godfrey icon can also benefit by the charge attack you use, but it will lead you charge a lot, so don't do that unless you really want it. Just use the normal one, get a buff, and do whatever you need. Use a spell if you like it. Yeah, it buffs it. And speaking about PvP, the distance is quite long and it's easy to catch people by using non-charge L2. And also you can using the old technique as well, like lock, beep 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 beep. Coated Sword. The attack range is kinda shorter than you thought, but the damage is good enough. It's good at PvE because you can ignore the sheer damage. It will go right through it. And it's bad for PvE because almost any kind of enemy has a goddamn holy damage negation. In PvP, well, it's quite useful, but you always have better choice, am I right? Gargoyle Black Blade. Just use the Blasphemous Blade for funk's sake. The projectile of this weapon almost can't hit anything, and sometimes it will go right through the floor. Kinda buggy, I almost cannot hit anything by it. The Destined Death default is just as same as the Black Flame, and I mean, you can also look at it. At least you can change the color, but this also is the only weapon in all of the Gargoyle weapon variation have the unique attack, so I will give it that. Just use Blasphemous Blade. It's better, it's stronger, almost anything. Trust me, I give it a chance, people. Marika's Executioner Sword. If you you are the dexterity build user, use Elhoid. If you are the strength build user, use this. The damage is slightly higher than the Elhoid. Also the range just slightly longer. And the other tips are all same as the Regal of Elhoid. Ordevis Great Sword. After the update, this weapon is kind of useful. The poise of the Ashover is overwhelming, and the non-charging version came out almost immediately. Although it has greatly upgraded, but still, the range is too short, and the damage is not high enough. If you're looking for strength and face build, it's a good weapon for you. Or you can just use the Golden Order Great Sword. I guess it make it become a PvP weapon. Death Poker. This weapon is OP. Use the coming off light attack to leave the LE on the ground, and the damage of LE is kinda huge. You can restrain enemy movement, and for some enemy don't move that much, they will have a cozy day. The explosion of the coming off heavy attack is not necessary. You can just leave it and it will become the sort of lame mine. Although the damage of the heavy attack is huge, but sometimes you don't have time. In PvP, you can change the direction by free aiming. It's quite useful, especially the light attack. Helfen Steeple. It's just like an Onsi blade from the Dark Souls 3, if you ever saw that, but it has a frostbite now, sort of. Blasphemous Blade. It's a top tier weapon, no doubt. It will health you by holding it, killing enemies. The Ashover almost knocked back everything, even the Crucible Knight, and it heals you when you're hit land. But every enemy's blocking, dodging, or dodging away, etc. It always heals you, and the damage is way too powerful. It's just a broken weapon. And for the PvP tips, just free aim it, watch the way they go, and let go in front of them. It's quite impossible to dodge it, even if they knew it. And also, if the fire landed while they dodge, it heals you. Like, come on. Sacred Relic Sword. Well, did I even need to talk about this? The damage of the Golden Wave is extremely high, but yet not high as the Marika's hammer. You can change your direction right before the wave goes. This will help you when you are in PvP. And you can spend a lot of golden shades just like this. How cool is that? It's still with the dexterity though, but dexterity is the powerful stat. It affects some of the strength, and it increasing your spells casting speed. It's just way more powerful than strength. The Golden Order Great Sword. If you are the strength user, here it is. The Ashover is very useful. The first attack can protect you if you are surrounded by numerous enemies, and the second wave can attack enemies from far away. And the damage of this is also quite high. You can one-shot the dead bird. How high is that? In PvP, the preparation movement is quite a bit long, and also kinda easy to guess what is your next move, even if you free aim it. If you really want to use it, you need to time it perfectly. Marika's Black Blade. After the field update, the colossal weapon is better now, but the Ashover of this weapon I guess has been downgraded a bit. The main damage of the Ashover is on the second attack, but it came out way too slow. I do love it. The debuff is great, the damage is high low, but you can just use the black knife if you're just looking for the debuff thing though. For the Ashover like this, I do prepare to take more combo but less damage. The range is kinda short. The Wolf Assault from the Lower Great Sword can jump over to close the distance, and the Stalker Soul can pull the enemy in it, not even to mention the Ring Great Sword. Bloody Helice, the perfect weapon for PvP. With this, you just never lose, with a good connection of course. The invisible frame of L2 is way too long. You can just keep pressing L2 and dodge almost anything, and the poise damage about falling off R2 is pretty high. You can execute Melania just landing about 2 hits. You can free aim it on the first dodging move. It will provide you with more angle to dodge, but the following of R2 angle is quite restricted, so do be careful about that. Oh yeah, you can press R2 2 times. A lot of people do forget about that. You can slightly delay the second R2 to confuse the enemy. They often will think you are finished and then suppress attack. Spear Templar work on this very well because most of the attack was counter attack, using running at hill to close the distance, and then use the Ashover to go back and follow up R2 to get in again. Just you can keep dancing like that. Dragon King Cloud Blade. Did you know the Cloud Form also deals damage, but also you as well? The final hit deals a ton of damage, so do make sure that the final landing hit on your target. It's not necessary to always hold your L2 all the way down. Wing of Done. The weapon of L2 has a projectile. You can use it to lure enemy in and then use the Ash over to push the enemy back. It will work great with the X Samson because charging attack. The Ash over of this weapon has multiple explosions. In PvP, you can hit successfully on the first hit and the rest of the blast will be guaranteed to hit too. The damage of this weapon is just way too overpowered for me, and also it is good enough by using just the regular R1 attack. It clips shortly, please. Do not expect any death blight build up. The first L2 will buff the sword, just treat it like the normal holy damage buff. And the second L2 will cause the explosion. This is the part that makes death blight build up, like about 1/3. But before you land the hit 3 times, he just probably already dead. Just look at this. But even with that, I won't say it is a bad weapon. You can delay the second attack like surprisingly long. Just look at that. Bloodhound Fun! Another OP weapon, just designed for the PvP. If the connection won't stop so much. The Ash Shovel has a high poise and high damage, but it do takes a lot of skill to use it. Let me explain. It's hard to hit someone by using just spamming L2. You must use some normal attack to trick your enemy in, like R1. When they decide to close up, use your Ash of War. With such high poise, even your enemy try to use some high poise attack, you will still unlikely to be interrupted. The second attack can be used for increasing distance. Unlucky when you use it can be helpful. Otherwise, you can just delay it a bit and go straight for your enemy. Again, I'll classify it as a PvP weapon. Hands of Millennia, one of my favorite weapon of all time. The Ash of War looks badass, and that's kind of all. In PvE, this weapon is kind of broken. The NPCs invader have absolutely no idea how to dodge that, so you can just spamming L2 whatever you want and kill every NPC invader. And also, did you know Millennia also afraid of her own weapons too? Just be careful she uses back. It has a decent poise damage, but lack of super armor. You are just often knocked down from the sky. How silly is that? Many people say this weapon can combine with some combo talisman like those. I won't say they are wrong, but there's more efficient way to do that. The combo talisman are such as a Rotting Windshield or Nicotine. You still need to above 9 hits to reach the maximum damage, and there are 10 hits in total on the Ash of War. Here, let me count for you. Just use the L-Hood if you just need a buff. And most of the enemy don't even need 10 hits to kill, so it's the OP weapon for the PvE. And about PvP, I always kill enemy by using regular attack. Due to the long range, use R2 to catch people, and following up R1 will almost work every time for me. Ash Shovel in PvP, you'll most likely be knocked down. Use it carefully, but if you want to use it, this is important. Preempt it when you use it. That's the spirit of it, right? Yeah. Sure, it's a PvE weapon. Nox Flowing Hammer. This one, well, your enemy will cry literally. The attack range is long, way too long. Even if you are noobs for PvP, I'll still need to be careful of this thingy. After you hit on the first one, the following off is almost inescapable. Well, there's no tip of it. Spam it if you want. Do be careful about the empty space after you're using though. Marika's Hammer, the most powerful weapon among all the holy damage. It has an extra damage if you strike the enemy right in the middle of it. You can easily reach about 3k damage of it. In PvP, you can slightly change your direction. It's perfect for roll catching people, so use it without aiming. It will do 10 times better. Top list of that weapon. Bolt of Grand Sax, hashtag Flygon top list. The range of the projectile is extremely long and the damage is quite high as well. Usually you can almost kill any boss by sniping them. You can combine this with the Godfrey icon to buff the full charge skill attack, and also use the lightning scorpion charm if you like it. It takes quite some time before the projectiles comes out, and unlike some others weapon, it's better if you always full charge it, unless you are in PvP. Speaking about PvP, you can unlock it when you're charging every enemy right before the lightning comes out, but this time it's kinda easier to guess, so maybe it's helpful, but hey, this is the best way you can do that. 3 speed. Did you know there's a bug that allows you to buff any weapon with this? Well, here you go. I hope you can still use it after I make this video. Never mind, they fix it right on the day I make this video. But for the record, I'll just continue. The R2 of this weapon is unique. Don't do much though, but you can try it out. Oh yeah, here is some footage from I was messing around with this bug. You can bust any weapon with this. Vike War Spear. Okay, another OP weapon. The LE of Ash Offer is extremely wide, and the damage is pretty good as well. Even though the madness didn't affect most of the enemy from the game, but just for the attack power it's quite useful. Not even mention to use it on PvP, you'll get madness just by touching the fire 2 or 3 times. To dodge this kind of weapon, quickly go around behind him before the Ash Offer comes out, and then backstab him. And for the user, be careful about that. Okay, I'm sorry. Instead of hitting once and getting blood loss, the Ash Offer variation hit multiple times, but it doesn't affect any combo type talents. The deals fire damage, so I guess you can use Fire Scorpion Charm if you want it. It's one of the top tier weapons. Literally makes the game become easy mode. It gets through walls, it gets through ceilings, just purely unfair. In PvP, you still need to be careful even you are the user. I know it's OP, but it's not unbeatable. Most of the invader will run immediately when you rise your spear up, and colossal weapon will just try to trade you. Believe me, it's not worth it, even if you are the spear user. Well, that's about it. There's still some weapons left. Just let me know if you want to see the part 2 about that. Otherwise, ciao!